Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool, and today, the Ethereum ecosystems. My name is Wack. Today is May 30th, and today we're going to cover news of the bi-weekly and community call that we had with Rocket Pool. We're going to talk about something called RocketLend, and spend a few minutes talking about that. We're going to be talking about some movement for the ETH ETFs, and some drama in ZK land with layer 2s. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
First of all, we're going to begin with this update from Mav. He says, hey everyone, the next community call is coming up in 21 days ago. Well, that's wrong. Obviously, it happened last night with Ken hosting special guests from, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. I don't know why it was showing me the wrong one. Here we go. He says, hey everyone, the next community call is coming up 19 hours ago. That's right, with Ken hosting Langers to chat about the Houston upgrade as the new launch date approaches. And then there's a link to the events channel. We already had that last night, so we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. This is we'll run through the latest bi-weekly update on the call too. This is make sure you head over to check out the IMC vote. So let's have a look at the bi-weekly first, and then we'll talk about the community call, and then we'll look at the vote. So here we go with the bi-weekly, and it says that our ETH supply declined by 0.6% to 509,007. Active mini pools declined by 0.3% to 24,437. The node operator count increased by 0.4% to 3,672, to annualized growth of 9%. With the smart node, we had version 1.13.2. With R&D, we had work on resolving discrepancies found between the Houston code and the ARPANET specifications. And we also had work on assessing and resolving a subsequent Immunify bounty submission, which prompted moving the Houston date to June 17th. After that, we had some governance stuff. There's a discussion about recent changes to the Immunify bounty. IMC member selections taking place. That's the vote we're going to look at next. There was feedback, and discussion about the events that led to Interval 22 producing a social consensus as deemed a bug tree, with the GMC open submissions for round 13, and the IMC saw feedback about incentivizing liquidity. Now with integrations, we had Kinza Finance accepting our ETH as collateral. With media marketing, we had ETH Sophia have provided a discount code for any Rocket Poolers attending on October 17th. There's media chatter about potential ETH ETF, and about Rocket Pool got like a lot of coverage about being part of the ETH ecosystem. With there was a DAO here, K9 Finance, who allocated 1/3 of their treasury to our ETH. And then we got lots of media coverage from Flat Money and Open Dollar. A blog from Vitalik mentioned Rocket Pool. Notional created a thread about our ETH yield strategies, and recent community call guests last week were Numa and Open Dollar. So that's a nice update of the community, the bi-weekly. Let's have a look at the vote and see how that's going right now. So the vote is now at 67.15% quorum. Val leads the way with a healthy 15.2% of votes. And then we have Yoakum and Jasper, who are very close at 493 and 483 votes respectively. Pateris, Halulu, and Samus are very close to each other as well, with around 450 votes. Then I'm on 425 votes. And after that, we have Dukey, Phil, and Lee, and Astanita and Dr. Worm all around 290 or so votes. So there's like a leading pack, and then there's like a middle trailing pack, and then there's a pack at the bottom. So any of Dukey or Phil could make it into the IMC, or I guess Lee and Astanita or Dr. Worm could as well. So at the moment, the results are not clear cut. It just looks like, Val is the community's favorite choice for the IMC, which is totally understandable. I need to change my votes. I'll be moving my votes around a little bit, but I'm not sure how much it will change the outcome. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then next we have update, of course, about the community call that happened last night. So here we had Langers and Maverick were talking to Ken, and Ken asked a bunch of questions about Houston upgrades that are happening, and what the delay was from the issue that Hululo found. And then also there was information about how they're talking to lawyers now about RPL value capture in Houston. So there was a whole bunch of stuff happening in the first part of the call, and then in the later part of the call, it was just going through the bi-weekly update and getting all that information. So that was actually pretty nice. So the recording should be available soon, so go and give that a listen when it's available if you didn't listen live. Okay, next we're going to talk about something called RocketLend, which is a new, I guess, Rocket Pool adjacent project that Ramana is, well, not Rocket Pool adjacent, building on top of Rocket Pool project that Ramana is making with some help from some community members. The idea works like this. So you, lots of people are staking with Rocket Pool. Some people don't want RPL. Some people are short on collateral. Well, RocketLend will be a facility where people can borrow RPL to put on their nodes for a fixed term and for a fixed cost, and they'll be able to use the RPL from RocketLend and then repay that loan at the end of the time period. So this is a really exciting project that Raman has been working on, and he's at the stage now where he's asking for help from the community. He says, let me get the big line items down as a kind of roadmap for what needs to be done. So he says there's governance stuff that needs to be figured out. There's a design review that needs to be done. There's a technical review of people looking at the code. There's contract test suite that needs to be made. There's audits that need to be taking place. Front-end dev needs to make a website or potentially many different websites, like kind of decentralized, kind of the way Liquidity have. There needs to be a testnet launch of the contract. There needs to be advertising. And there needs to be a mainnet launch post Houston because it'll be using some of the Houston stuff. So he says so RocketLend is the name. So here there's a bunch of people kind of contributing to this. I think Noshua shared some ideas. Non-fungible Yokum has shared ideas, and a bunch of other people as well. So people are involved with this. Ramana now is saying that they potentially will have some kind of admin on the account. And if you want to be an admin, then get involved with sharing your information with Ramana. And then Ramana is also asking for people who would like to be early alpha or beta testers for the protocol. And Vaka has put his name forward as a beta tester, which is really cool. It looks like there's a bunch of things happening at the same time. So if this is something that you'd like to get involved with, definitely pop into the RocketLend thread and check out what Ramana's cooking, because it's really cool. Like, I think a whole lot of people will want to use this. Like, there's a bunch of people with liquid RPL who want a return on that. And then there's a whole bunch of people who need RPL to keep their nodes collateralized or to even start new validators. And then this RPL will be available to them to do that. If you have any questions about the protocol or the project, I guess, whatever you want to call it, pop by the RocketLend thread and ask your questions as well, because Ramana and others will be happy to answer them. So yeah, if you want to get involved in testing, if you have ideas about design reviews or technical reviews, any of that kind of stuff, pop by, because I think Ramana can use all the help that they can get. And then here as well in trading, he said, I'm looking for potential user of RocketLend to give feedback on what, if anything, you would like to change about it. Do you need RPL for your node? Do you want to earn extra yield on your spare RPL? And come and check it out. Or it says, and post your queries or concerns in the thread. So I think this is going to be a really nice little tool that will kind of bridge the gap between now and Saturn. It kind of works differently from NodeSet, because what NodeSet does is it divides the node operator, the RPL provider, the ETH provider. It keeps them all separate. Whereas here, RocketLend will keep the ETH provider and the node operator as the same person, but just detaches the RPL provider from that equation. So, with Rocket Pool, of course, you need the staker, the RPL staker, the ETH staker, and the node operator to be the same person or entity. RocketLend will kind of break that down a little bit, and then NodeSet, of course, will break that down further. So it kind of hits that sweet spot in the middle where the node operator themselves can get ETH, and it's actually really, really cool the way it's envisioned. So definitely pop into the RocketLend thread. The link, of course, is in the description below, and ask Ramana whatever questions you want, or just follow the thread to find out what, a way that you can deposit your RPL And of course, this will be audited by respectable auditing firms. It's a really simple contract. Ramana said the whole protocol is like within one contract, or that's how he envisions it at the moment. But you can get involved and share your ideas as well. So definitely check this out. I'm following it really closely and I'm trying to help as much as I can as well. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to help a lot of people in our community, and it's going to help sentiment shift quite well if it all works well. So yeah, definitely go and look at that. Okay, shifting here, I wanted to highlight that there will be a retrospective town hall for the previous GMC round, which was round 12, and that will take place on June 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern time, which I think is 7 p.m. UTC. I'm sorry, I'm not good with time zones. Yeah, so 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's actually 8 p.m. UTC. Yeah, 6-hour time difference. And here there's a link to the GMC Discord if you want it. Val posted it in the submissions thread. But if you want to come along, like normally the calls are about an hour long. We talk about everything that happened in the previous round, what went well, what went badly. The community gives feedback of what they think went well or badly. And there's some really good stuff that you can learn during that. And you can talk to the GMC members directly, which is nice, especially if you're considering submitting a grant or an application of some sort. Okay, moving away from Rocket Pool now and moving on to some staking news. Here we have Nick S from NodeSet, who put this announcement through for NodeSet's node operators saying, hey, we just sent out emails, but we wanted to follow up here. Please take a look at our heavy compute survey and let us know about your interest in running additional hardware for compute intensive protocols, for example, ZK proving or AI. This is as we interface with potential partners, it would be very helpful to understand more about your capabilities and willingness to invest in additional hardware. So then there's a link to a Google form. Let's have a look at the Google form. So it says, NodeSet heavy compute opportunities. NodeSet regularly discusses compute opportunities in Web3 that require robust systems. This includes ZK proving, GPU-based rendering, AI training, sequencing, and alternative layer 1 validation. Please let us know how much interest you have in participating in heavier compute tasks. And then there's some questions here. So it says, what hardware would you be willing to dedicate to compute tasks? Check all that apply. So one or more NUC, desktop PC or laptop, server grade hardware, cloud bare metal, consumer GPUs or enterprise GPUs. And then it says, if you do not currently own one or more servers, would you be willing to invest in server grade hardware? So it says yes, specifically on premises, yes, specifically in the cloud or bare metal situation, yes, either on premises or cloud bare metal solution. It says no, I'm not interested in running heavier systems. This is what expected gross profit margin would you require to make an investment in server grade infrastructure, and it's like 0 to over 20%. And then if we launched a heavy compute partnership tomorrow, would you want to participate? And then there's yes, 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 and no. So there's a whole bunch of different questions there. So the yes question is actually quite interesting because I think they point out something cool here. So it says, yes, I'm willing to participate even if I'm compensated with protocol points. So it looks like NodeSet might be heading towards a point system sooner or later. And then the second one is that, yes, I'm willing to participate as long as I'm compensated in protocol tokens. Yes, I'm willing to participate, but only if I'm compensated with ETH or stablecoins. So that is really interesting that there's discussion of protocol points or protocol tokens that's happening already. So that's a little bit of alpha that's kind of hidden there, I guess, for you all to see that NodeSet will potentially be, building up points or tokens for their users, which is very, very, very interesting. So yeah, if you're interested in NodeSet and you're not a node operator yet, go and contact Nick or Wanda, and they will help you get set up with that. Every few months they do their node operator onboarding. I'm not sure exactly when the last time they did that was, but I think it will be it's quite frequent that they do it, and they won't be launching their Rocket Pool integration probably until August anyway. So you have a little bit of time to do that if you want. Okay, now moving away from staking news onto Ethereum news. Here we had a whole bunch of movement today on the ETH ETF applications. So this was like, from yesterday evening and today. So BlackRock, the first news that came in was BlackRock files its updated S1 form for its spot Ethereum ETF. So, BlackRock were racing along to get their paperwork done, to get everything submitted for their ETF application. The 19B4 forms were already completed and approved by the SEC. So that means that, the ETF was approved. However, this is now about the actual, the S1 forms from the actual applicants. So this was the next step that needed to happen. People didn't know how long it would take, whether it would take a matter of weeks or potentially months. The fact that BlackRock started moving early on this gave people the idea that it was going to move fast. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. But Evan here was digging into the BlackRock submission, and he says that some interesting tidbits regarding staking in BlackRock's S1. So it says centralization risk posed by LSTs. That's what they talk about. They talk about description around how staking ETH isn't risk-free, about how you can't claim airdrops, would be unlikely to get any for holding vanilla ETH anyway, and not solo staking, and a description of the Coinbase case and Wells notice. So they have some information in there about these topics, so you can dig into that and have a look. Then Phoenix here yesterday as well came out with this story that Fidelity have now gotten their ETF listed on the DTCC under the tracker FETH, so it's FETH. So I don't think that's the most creative name, but hey, Fidelity, I think they're the second biggest Bitcoin. Not second, behind Grayscale, they're third biggest Bitcoin ETF. So I think they can name it whatever they want, and they'll be getting a whole lot of customers coming through. But it looks like, a lot of these applicants are making moves and getting everything ready. We also then got some commentary about these S1 submissions. James Seifert says, this is almost certainly the engagement that we were looking for in the S1s following the 19B4 approvals. Issuers and the SEC are working towards spot Ethereum ETF launches. So that was great. Eric Balkunas says, good sign, probably see the rest of them roll in soon, then probably one or more round of fine-tune comments from the staff. End of June launch a legit possibility, although keeping my over-under date as July 4th. So that's the target that Eric Balkunas had. But this, again, was yesterday evening. However, today we got some more news. Actually, we'll come back to that in a second. Going back to the BlackRock thing, Scott says, I love how BlackRock, 2 days before the deadline, but immediately after the surprise engagement, just went ahead and seeded. They said, fuck it, we ball. So you can see here that they said that they had seed creation baskets, and they had $10 million in there, and they're already getting everything ready for that, which is really cool. And then here we have Nate Grassi sharing some information about how things are moving really fast, and he shares today, this is today's news, that apparently the SEC is asking for all the applicants to have their S1 forms by Friday. So it says SEC apparently asking prospective spot ETF issuers for updated S1 forms by Friday. There'll still be additional amendments following this, but the SEC is clearly engaging fairly quickly here. So the fact that this information came through today means that everyone's kind of moving their timelines up. So this is the timeline where it could get approved in a matter of weeks. So I've been saying 4 to 6 weeks. In fact, as more recently as yesterday, I said that. But now it's looking like it's going to potentially be a little bit quicker than that. I guess if they get their first drafts in on Friday, and then the SEC gives feedback next week, telling them to make changes and amendments, those could potentially be made within a matter of days. And once those are done, then that's it. It should be approved and ready to go. So there is a timeline here where it could be done within 2 weeks, which is really exciting. Okay, moving on from the ETF stuff. Next, we have information here from Cryptic Tits, who is screen sharing from Coinbase. And this is Wilson Cusack, who is saying that the Coinbase Smart Wallet has soft launched, and they are targeting wide release on June 5th. So the Wilson says, excited to share that Smart Wallet is now soft launch. What does this mean? You can use the Smart Wallet on mainnets, and if you pass the all config, you'll see the Smart Wallet in the pop-up. Please use the soft launch period to test your app on mainnet. We do not publicly promote Smart Wallet Mint experience yet. We're planning to officially launch on June 5th. So this is actually really exciting. We got a little bit of alpha here from the Coinbase guys, that if you want to use their smart wallet, it's possible to get access to it now. But the main launch and marketing and everything will happen from next week. So this is really exciting. Like, a whole lot of people have been talking about this in a really excited way. And it seems like they're going to get a lot of people using that wallet pretty much right away as well. So that was awesome to see. Okay, next we had this article from Vitalik, a new one. So it says layer 2s as cultural extensions of Ethereum. So this is an article about, actually we can just have a look a little bit over here. He says, in my recent post on the difference between layer 1 and layer 2 scaling, I ended up roughly coming to the conclusion that the most important differences between two approaches are not technical but organizational, using the word in a similar sense to the field of industrial organization. He says it's not about what can get built, but what will get built, because of how the lines between different parts of the ecosystem are drawn and how that affects people's incentives and abilities to act. In particular, a layer 2 centric ecosystem inherently much more pluralistic and more naturally leads to a greater diversity of different approaches to scaling, virtual machine design, and other technological features. So he goes on to kind of talk about the different cultures and what you have and what you don't have, and the different cultures of Ethereum as well, and then how there's different subcultures and how that gets moved up to layer 2 and what that might look like as well. And then there's a bunch of different screenshots from people in different layer 2 ecosystems. And then Vitalik says, how can this layer 2 centric approach succeed? And he gives some information there as well. And then he finishes up with that. We had so if you want to give that a read, you can give that a read. It's like just talking about the values and the actions of different layer 2s. Check it out, definitely. Vitalik's thoughts are always worth reading. Okay, next we're going to be talking about some drama in Ethereum land and layer 2 land, actually. So Matter Labs, which is the team behind ZK Sync, here Mark Zeller made a screenshot of an article that says Matter Labs files for ZK trademark, industry demands withdrawal. The attempt to trademark ZK proofs is like a baker trying to impose a blanket pattern on bread, according to Starkware's CEO. So Mark says that this is shameful behavior for Matter Labs. It's 180 degrees from our industry ethos. But the issue is actually a little bit more complicated than that, which we're going to discuss it in a second. So Starkware were one of the more public critics of this, saying ZK is a public good that should belong to everyone. Matter Labs, the corporate entity behind ZK Sync, has filed a trademark application in 9 countries, claiming ZK as its exclusive intellectual property, even though they neither created nor contributed to the creation of this technology. By using the legal system to claim a public good for itself, Matter Labs contradicts the ethos of crypto, Ethereum, and its own principles, which state we can make this world better by increasing people's freedom. Starkware, along with other leading ZK companies and researchers, urges the community to demand that Matter Labs withdraw all their trademark attempts. And then they've got a public statement as well. And then there was some more takes here. So this is Alex from Matter Labs, who's the founder and CEO. And he says Matter Labs is a zealous proponent of the libertarian cyberpunk ethos and the values stated in the ZK Credo. We reject the very idea of intellectual property. Everything we create is released to the public under free open source licenses. It says trademarks, however, exist to protect users, not companies. All the trademarks we've ever registered, including ZK related ones, are defensive to prevent dishonest actors from misleading their customers and confusing their products and services with the ones offered by Matter Labs. And then he says, as had unfortunately been the case in the past. He says, but ZK is the end game, so we went one step further. We had earlier reached out to the legal team of the Ethereum Foundation and offered to cooperate on creating a legal framework to make the use of ZK and similar important tech terms in public domain. We invite others to participate in this initiative, in particular those who file trademarks related to Starks. So what they're saying is that we're doing this defensively, we're trying to get the trademark, and we're going to work with the Ethereum Foundation to make it a public good. But the fact is that we don't want bad actors to be, kind of claiming this trademark. Here, Adam Cochran has some commentary in this. He says, people giving ZK Sync crap for this, and yeah, it was a dumb move, but it's well intentioned. He says, Alex genuinely believes in his view of things, like this being a protective trademark, prevent trademark squatters. Still shouldn't have done it, should have known it'd be received poorly and is legally unnecessary. And I'm surprised no one in the org flagged these things. but there are very few orgs in the space that truly internalize and believe the messaging they put out, but the ZK Sync team is one of them. So it's not a good move, should have been obvious, but not grounds to question the character of the team. And then finally, Alex was talking to Micah here. Micah is one of Ethereum's most vocal contrarian like voices. He says, if you have the trademark on ZK, which if I cared about such things, I would contend in court. Why do you need the Ethereum Foundation's participation to release it to the public domain? You can simply do it. No need for the EF to be involved and no need for any coordination with anyone. And Alex says, we can't release it. There's no such thing as public domain for trademarks. It must be owned by someone. We see the EF as one of the most credibly neutral entities in the space. And then Jasper replied by saying, I didn't understand this and was jumping to conclusions. Going to be rough to fix this media mess. Good luck. So there's a bit of drama there. There's a lot of discussion about this, and the discussion is still ongoing. So you might be seeing it, in the next couple of days, still playing out. But it definitely brings up an interesting discussion, and I'll let you all reach your own conclusions about that. So sticking on the topic of layer 2s here, OP Labs have developed an interesting tool. They said the beta version of the custom gas token feature is now live for the OP stack. Chain operators can enable this feature anytime with L2s or L3 chain deployment and launch with an ERC token other than ETH for gas fees. So this is really interesting because it will allow users of the OP stack or those specific chains that turn this on to pay with gas using ERC20s or other arbitrary tokens. And then they say projects with their own tokens can enhance the utility of their existing tokens by either deploying a chain with their own token as the gas token, or by deploying a chain with an established community token as the gas token, thus boosting their chain's growth. And then they said that chain operators who run their chains with custom gas token have the ability to be more effectively subsidize transaction fees. They can do this by paying for gas on behalf of the users or by offsetting developer costs using grants from their own token treasury. And then there's more explanation of that as well. But if you're interested in that, definitely go and give it a read. One of the things that people like about layer 2s is that, they use ETH as their gas token, and it embeds that idea of ETH as money across the layer 2 ecosystem with this development from OP Labs. And Starknet allows you to use their Stark token as gas as well. So this kind of blurs the lines between layer 2 sovereignty and being part of Ethereum. I'm really curious to see how people respond to this development, and how they're going to use these native tokens instead of ETH. Okay, next we've got some interesting research that came out of Nansen. So for those of you who don't know, Nansen is on-chain researchers, and they find stuff on chain, and it's a database of a lot of on-chain metrics and analysis and that kind of stuff. Well, they say here that they've identified a whale that holds $650 million worth of ETH, which is 173,000 ETH. And they identified this party as DBS, which is the largest bank in Singapore, has assets totaling 739 billion as of December 31st, 2023. It says the address has made over $200 million by holding ETH from the time we bought it up to now. And then you can track the address of it on Nansen, I guess on Etherscan as well if you want, and then it just shows the address for it there. So they've got a whole lot of ETH there, and they've made some really good money for themselves. So congratulations to DBS Bank. Here, CoinDesk puts out an article as well saying that Singapore's DBS Bank is reportedly a crypto whale. According to Nansen, their on-chain analytics firm said that the address, which belongs to the bank, holds nearly $650 million in ETH. So you can read the article here as well from CoinDesk that shares that information. But I think this is the kind of thing that we're going to start seeing a little bit more of in the coming months. As the bull market heats up, we'll start seeing crypto companies and maybe even TradFi businesses starting to buy ETH, especially now in the US that the security concern has been lifted. It's clearly a commodity now, which means that businesses can hold ETH in a way that they couldn't before because of the regulatory uncertainty. It's kind of the same situation as Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin for MicroStrategy before he got the clarity that it was security. It wasn't a security, it was a commodity. There were doubts about whether you could hold it or not, and Bitcoin, for him, it was the clearest commodity there is. So he bought a lot of it through his company. Now that we have that clarity on ETH, I think it might be possible that someone out there is looking at ETH and saying this is an undervalued asset, and if I start buying it through my company, the price rises. You can do that infinite money glitch the same way that Michael Saylor did with Bitcoin and MicroStrategy, where you buy the shares of your company's price goes up because you're holding crypto, the price of the crypto is going up. Then you take loans against your company's worth and buy more crypto, and then the crypto goes up more, and over and over and over again. Of course, we lay people and plebs can't do that, but if you have $1 billion company, or well, in the case of DBS Bank, a $739 billion company, then you can start playing games in a different way than the rest of us can. But hey, it might be good for all of our ETH bags, so let's do it. Okay, next we're going to be talking about a new feature on the Uniswap app on their front end. So one of the things on Uniswap is when you go to their front end to swap, you can't really see charts of the tokens. And when you go to their pools page to have a look, it used to be that they had kind of like a rough line information to show you the prices of tokens. Whereas now what they're doing is they are allowing you to see candlestick patterns, so you can get a much better idea of what the crypto prices were doing at a given time. So like they show you in the video, like you go to the Uniswap page, you go to explore, you find the token you want to look at, and then you can press the candlestick button and start seeing candlesticks. This is not just for traders, it's for everyone really. The benefit of this is, of course, that you get a much better idea of what the price is looking like for a token than if you are just looking at the line. And also what you can do as well, of course, is this is useful for tokens that aren't listed on centralized exchanges, where normally you can see these kind of candlestick patterns. There's a whole thousands of tokens that are on Uniswap but not anywhere else, so you'll be able to get a much better idea of what's going on with those tokens there. Okay, moving on to some other news now, and continuing with this idea that politics in the US is shifting towards being more pro-crypto. The Block have an exclusive article out saying Biden campaign ramps up crypto industry outreach in surprising tone shift. So this, of course, is continuation over what we've seen last week. And all the stuff that's been coming out since then. If you look at the article, they say that President Joe Biden's re-election campaign has begun reaching out to crypto industry players over the past 2 weeks for guidance on crypto community and policy, sources told the Block. And then they also said they noticed a significant shift in the tone from the Biden administration and campaign towards crypto, with new willingness to understand digital assets and their communities. And the new outreach efforts come shortly after the Biden administration faced backlash, signaling it would veto an alleged anti-crypto bill. So that the SAB 121 bill was the one that totally changed crypto in the US. The veto that happened, but then the bipartisan support in the House and in Congress. I think what happened is Democrats in the House and especially in the Senate, saw that crypto was not going to lose them any votes, but it would gain them a lot of votes, decided to start voting in line with crypto, and that sent shockwaves throughout the whole of the US political system. And it has led to the point now where we have this new shift in this new moment basically for crypto. Now, you can be cynical and you can say this is politicians just politicking, and of course that is true. Donald Trump is also doing this, signaling strong support for crypto, and it's up to you to believe who you want to believe. But the amazing thing is here that we've got politicians on both sides of the aisle and now coming out and supporting crypto in a way that it didn't look like anyone was doing just a few months ago. So this is amazing. Okay, and then Anthony Sassano says the crypto voting block in the US now matters enough for extreme pivots like this to happen. This is more bullish for crypto than you can imagine. Like I said, this is absolutely true. Hopefully this will lead to more positive crypto policy in the next few months until the election, and then hopefully the next administration, whether it's Biden or Trump or someone else, that will be able to carry on with this pro-crypto stance, because I think it's really important. And I saw this amazing statistic where someone said there are more crypto holders in the US than there are dog owners, and you can't imagine politicians coming out against dogs. Crypto bros and people in general are quite passionate about their crypto, and they will vote in line with their crypto. So it seems like we've had definitely a moment of shift in the US, And I'm really curious to see how it's all going to play out. Okay, next we've got a couple of tweets from Eleanor Terrett here, who's talking about Commissioner Hester Peirce, who's of course one of the commissioners in the SEC, and she's got a proposal for a joint UK-US digital security sandbox, which is a safe harbor where companies in both jurisdictions can safely experiment on blockchain technology for trading securities without fear of regulatory admonishment. She said in her letter she proposed inviting US to play in the sandbox, which was first proposed by the Bank of England, which is the central bank of the UK, for all UK companies. And Hester Peirce says cross-border sandbox would be even more transformative than solely domestic one. And then there's more commentary here and there as well. So the way it would work is set up micro innovation sandbox, where you can do limited amount of business in the US using blockchain technology to trade securities without fear of getting targeted by regulators. Time in the sandbox will be limited up to 2 years with possible extensions. And there's a whole bunch more as well. So this actually seems like a quite well thought out plan, and it's going to be interesting to see how it leads to developments, with crypto in these two countries. And finally, I'm going to finish with this great video titled Ethereum Watching Bitcoiners Build Layer 2s. This actually made me laugh out loud, so I thought I'd play it for you all. For those of you who are listening or not watching, it's a video of I think giant apes, it looks like baboons, who are trying to use tools, and it's trying to hammer nails into a board and also trying to use a saw and doing it very, very, very inefficiently. And it's a really nice little video with David Attenborough watching the baboons trying to use these tools and being horrible at it. So I thought it was funny. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely day ahead, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.